friends, welcome back to Elisha's Life. In today's video we have another video in my travel series, and today I'm going to be doing how to decide where to go travelling. Now, so many of you may ask me and be like, Elish, I want to go travelling, but where do I go? Now, with the pandemic, you can't go anywhere. When the country starts to reopen again, you may be looking at your first solo travel trip, or you may just be looking for a adventure getaway or a city break somewhere, and you may think, I wonder where I want to go. So I'm here today to help you decide where to go on your next trip. I have a list here of some things I do when I'm deciding where to go, and hopefully these will help you all out. So let's start. First thing you want to do is decide on the time frame that you have to travel. If you've only got a week off work, you might only be able to travel for 5 days. If you've got the whole summer off, you might want to travel for a whole month. So just decide in your mind how long you want to be out for. If it's a weekend, that's fine. If it's 2 months, it's fine. If it's a year, that's fine. You just have to decide how long you want to be travelling for. So bear in mind that if you're travelling for a shorter period of time, you may only be able to go to one destination, whereas the longer you travel, the more destinations you want to go. Weekend, you can't fit everything in to a small period of time. So I would say if you're going for a week, realistically, if you're going somewhere in Europe, you can probably fit one place in at a time, but I wouldn't say do more than one country at a time. By this I mean, if you're going to Italy for a week, I would do, maybe 3 days in Venice, 3 days in Rome. Split it out, but I wouldn't recommend doing more than one country. I think that would be too much and you won't have enough time to explore really. Next part, the most important part, is the budget. Now you need to decide how much you are allocating to your trip. What budget do you have? Work out how much you roughly want to spend a week, including flights, including, accommodation. Work out how much you have a week to spend. And then from there, you can work out roughly what kinds of destinations you want to go to. If you have a smaller budget, I would recommend Europe. If you have a larger budget, I would recommend Asia. But you have to bear in mind that there are certain countries you cannot do on a small budget. To list a few, like Iceland, Switzerland, they are some expensive countries, more expensive, so you have to be aware that if you choose to travel to these, you may need to up your budget or spend less periods of time there. So you figured out how long you're going for and the budget. Now need to think about what part of the world you want to go to. So split it up into continents and figure out where you want to go. Do you want to go to Europe? Do you want to go to Asia? Do you want to go to Oceania? Do you want to go to the Americas, Africa, or like Antarctica? But I don't think you can go to Antarctica, so yeah, just out of there, just figure out what you want to go to, because I would recommend, especially if you're doing mid-sized trips like a month, I wouldn't recommend doing both, Europe and Asia. I would recommend just picking the one to do. So the way I figure it out is I just look at a map and I look at the countries I've been to on the map, and I think which countries is it that I would love to go to in my budget. Don't be afraid to get out a piece of paper, make a list of your top destinations, make a list of people's recommendations, and then go from there. Or if there's a certain monument you want to see, like the Eiffel Tower, put that on your list. See what other things are around the Eiffel Tower, because the Eiffel Tower is just one monument. You might be able to go to France and see other things, be able to go to like Lyon or other parts of France and explore that. Similarly, know what countries are close by. So if you want to go to France, know what countries are close border France, so it's easy to get there. So like, say for example you wanted to go to Belgium, You know, Belgium is bordering France, so if you want to do like 3 days in Belgium, 3 days in France, you can easily do that by a plane or train. Next thing, decide how you want to travel. If you decide that you don't like planes and you want to travel trains only, you might be restricted in terms of where you can travel and how much is going to cost you. I would say normally flights, especially in Europe, are cheaper than trains. Especially when the Eurostar, I would say flights are cheaper than trains. But when you're in the country, trains are cheaper to like get around the country, but you have to decide what mode of transport you want to use to get yourself there. And this affects your budget. Sometimes if you go with a boat, it's going to be higher priced and you need to allocate more of your budget to that, whereas flights, you probably only need to allocate 20% of your budget to flights. Next thing, now that you've decided what part of the world you want to go to and you've decided how much you have to budget and how long you've got to go, I would suggest watching like suggestion videos as to what countries in those regions to go, or just looking at a map yourself and seeing what countries are in that area for you to go. Next, after you've completed all this, you can now start to research. So next you need to research popular backpacking destinations in that area or popular backpacking routes. Now you don't have to follow these backpacking routes, but these are just most popular, what current backpackers do. This is how you're going to meet the most people like you, and you are probably going to meet people doing the same routes if you do popular backpacking routes. But not only that, is you get to see the places that not normal tourists think about going, but backpackers have been to. So I would say Google and research backpacking routes, because spend in each destination, see where backpackers are recommending you go, and if you know you want to do more than one place in Europe, but see what the top route for travelling around Europe is, and then see if that fits in with your budget. If not, you can then tweak it, and you can take bits, whatever you like. So if you like one backpacker's route that's telling you to go, I don't know, France to Belgium to Budapest, but you don't want to go to Budapest in Hungary, you can just go France, Belgium, and then, I don't know, maybe continue round and go through Germany or somewhere like that. So yeah, you can look at videos and research the destinations. Suggest is for all of my first time solo travellers out there. If this is your first time travelling, I would recommend going to a country in similar culture to you. By this I mean I wouldn't go, if you live in England and you've grown up in England, I wouldn't suggest going straight to a country in Asia trip. I would recommend going to a country similar in culture to you, a country that is close to your home. So like Europe's a good one for first time solo travellers, because if anything happens while you're out there travelling, you know that you can get home pretty quickly. And you know most people in Europe have a good understanding of English. Like English is taught widely in most European schools, so you know that most people in Europe understand English. Also, like for solo travel, like first time travellers, it's good to go to, you know, popular destinations. So my first solo travel trip, I went to Germany, because Germany is one of the safest countries in Europe. Not only that, is they also are taught English, so they speak English, and you can get a flight to Germany for about 20 quid. So if anything bad happens, you know you can fly home pretty cheaply if needed. So yeah, that would be my number one tip for first time solo travellers, is to just not take it too far out of your reach. Dip your toes in first. You're out there. If you decide that you don't like travelling solo, you can get home pretty quickly. Or if you decide that you don't like Europe, you can then decide where to go from there. But I would just say most solo travellers start with a country that is similar to your country in terms of culture, in terms of language. I just realised I never really filmed an outro for this, but I just want to say thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 50 subscribers. I also have more travel content coming in the future. This is only one of many videos in my travel series, so please stay notified for more